Hello, guys. Welcome back to the D&Y Podcast. I'm your host, Yassin, with my co host, Dimitri, and today we're bringing you a new episode. So stay tuned and listen up because I can tell this one's going to be fire.
Hey,
How
Yassin,
you
thank you for
doing?
this fire introduction into the podcast. Welcome from my side as well. Glad you're here
Thank
and
you, man.
glad you're listening into it's actually the ninth episode for D&Y
Yeah,
Podcast. And yeah, we're bringing in today from a bit of a colder Switzerland. And yeah, let's get started. How has your week been then? Not your
my
week,
week,
it's your month, sorry.
yeah, weeks turn into months now.
Yeah.
My week has been great, bro, or my month. It's had up and downs. The biggest thing that's been a big change for me, as you know, has been going into voiceover, leaving the copy world and going into voiceover. That's been a big thing. It's been a challenge figuring it out, but with the help of some good friends, Chat GPT, and some research, of course, I've been able to start finding my way. Still early, but been able to find my way. Of course, I had some health challenges, as you know, but I made some changes to my just the things I ate, adapted to the clothing that I used to wear just to help me be better. And it's been helping in that sense with my old health problems. So that's good. Thank God for that. Um, and yeah, I guess I should give a wisdom nugget probably, right? So
Yeah, go ahead.
if I was to give one, it would be just start. Because I don't have all the perfect tools, of course, for voiceover. At least when I started, I didn't have a lot of tools that people are like, oh, how could you start without these? Like a mic, like a studio. And I just started with my phone and I got my first client that way, and he really liked my recordings, and we've been working together ever since. And yes, it's challenging. I don't have a lot of um, things right now, but I have a lot more things as I started moving forward and told more of my friends about it. A lot of things started coming up. A lot of them started suggesting, try this out and see this. But at first, I started with just the phone. And I bring this up because someone else could have been like, oh, I need a mic. I can't start without it. But the thing is, you can. You just have to want it and find a solution instead of looking for the problem.
Yes, if you want to find an excuse, you're always going to find one. And we were discussing my content before we started recording this podcast, and I was saying to Yassine, there's so many things I think of when I think of my content. I'm always like, yeah, but I'm not knowledgeable enough to post
Mm.
this. I don't have a huge brand already to give actual tips on branding. But at the end of the day, you just got to start somewhere. And even if the knowledge you give is only valuable to a single person, you've already done a lot. And you got to start somewhere, you got to start putting yourself out there. And if you want to find an excuse to not do it, you're always going to find one.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's a very good point. And I mean, with the content, it's not always easy. It's always easier to make excuses because you're like, I'm busy, I don't know what to do. But I myself have put it on pause, but that was a like a decision I made on purpose for just for focus wise. But I'm going to get back to it very soon. But to your point, yes, it's easier to make excuses than to find solutions.
Yeah, sometimes you got to listen in your environment and maybe at work, maybe you have family members, maybe you even have friends that always make excuses for everything when you're trying to suggest something or they're trying to achieve something. They always have excuses why they can't do it. And yeah, you always find something, and if you listen to that, that's
Yeah,
gonna run you completely over.
yeah. Well, I told you about my week, but what about your month and how have you been, bro?
It's going great. It's going great. Um, I can go to my wisdom nugget, something that I've realized again, which is something that never gets old, is how important fast and efficient communication is. Um, Sometimes I don't respond to things as fast as I would want to, and sometimes there's
Yeah.
1, 2, or 3 days where I don't respond to certain messages, and that's a really bad thing because what the most optimal thing is in business when it comes to communication is as soon as you see the message, you just respond to it. You We often try to put it off and say, okay, I'll respond to it in a few minutes or I'll respond to it in 1 or 2 hours. But then it gets forgotten, and then you forget to respond to that specific message. And then it turns into 1, 2, 3 days. And yeah, communications is a form of respect.
Yeah.
And so you gotta make sure, especially with your clients, you have fast and especially efficient communication because you want to make sure that when you're communicating, what you're saying makes sense as is clear to
Mm-hmm.
what you're trying to say and is clear to your client or the recipient of that message. Because there's nothing that is more annoying than when you get messages and you don't understand what the other person is trying to say. It's that long of a paragraph, but it just says nothing, or you have to ask 5 questions in return in order to understand what they're actually trying to say. And that's annoying. So make sure you're fast with your communication and make sure you're also efficient and what you're saying gets understood by the person who's receiving it.
Yeah. I I want to add something to that real quick. If it's okay to be busy, just make sure the right people who you're working for or with and have deadlines for them, you're not busy on them because these are the guys you're doing the work for. So you just have to be able to communicate with them. Or the guys you're doing a business with, even, because they could be telling you, hey, something's changed, something's going wrong, we need help. So, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And even if that doesn't work and you have like deep work sessions or you're, I don't know, you're actually busy with something that you, and at that time you cannot respond to messages like we're doing the podcast right now. During the
Yeah.
podcast, I cannot respond to the messages if I get any. But make sure you have, I don't know, a certain time block out of the day where
Yeah.
you can respond to messages, or maybe when you're on the way, riding the bus or riding the tram or whatever it is, walking outside or while you're working out, anything like that, you have time to respond to messages, maybe once a day, in order to catch up to everything that came in, depending on how much messages you actually get. Like I'm not a person that gets a huge amount of messages. Sometimes there's days where it's a bit more, so days where it's a bit less, but it's like not very excessive. And especially with business messages, with messages from my clients, I always try to be as fast as possible, just as a form of respect and just in order to make things move quickly, because speed in business is so important.
Yeah. That's very true. It's very true.
Yeah, and otherwise, my week has been going good. We're working on some things to improve with our clients, and as I said, I don't know if I said it in the last podcast or if that was in our accountability call that we had at the beginning of the month. But what I was trying to say is my focus is to be as valuable as possible to my clients, and this has been my focus all through the month.
Mm-hmm.
Is how can I be more valuable to them instead of how can I get more clients or how can I make more money? My focus is on the value itself. Is there anything that I can do more where maybe the client has a problem that needs to be solved and I can step in and help? or find someone that can help,
Yeah.
but make myself as valuable as possible, because at the end of the day, you're paid for, or you're paid in accordance to how easy you are to replace. And the more valuable you are, the more difficult you are to be replaced inside of a client's business. And so the more secure is your income and your money, and the the higher is your income at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true. It works like that everywhere, even in jobs, it's like that.
That's very true. That's very
Yeah.
true. All right, we have a bit of a mixed episode today. Um, we don't have a big topic, but I know Yassin has some other very interesting things before we get back to me. But yeah, Yassin, I'll give you the word.
Yeah, well, one topic I wanted to talk about is the experience or the change I faced with going from copy to voiceover, and how it was not an easy decision to make at first, but I know it's the right decision. Um, just because it feels right, and I've thought about it a lot. And it's not easy because you don't know what you're doing at first. You're jumping into a new field and there's a lot to figure out. But I guess you did the right decision when even, or the one that is right for you, when even despite the uncertainty, despite the challenges, the clashback, you still want to keep doing it and win in it. And for me, that's what I've been feeling. Uh, Strong conviction that this is the right path. And I look forward to the work and doing it. Whereas before, I liked helping people. I wasn't the guy who would be behind the screen. I preferred being the guy in front of the screen or using my voice to really do something. And I think I did the right move. The only thing that I would say I maybe regret a bit is not trying it earlier, but I guess that's something you could say with everything. Um, because I had moments before where people told me, hey, you should give this a shot. And I could have given it a shot with copy on the side, but I kind of never did. So I would say a very interesting lesson might be if there's maybe something you're curious about or a new skill you're curious about while you're doing another skill or you're doing another thing, and you might have some time, not all your time, but just some time to give it a shot in small increments, do it because who knows, maybe it's another skill you can end up stacking up, or maybe it's another path for you to follow if better than your current path, or if the current path has been maybe draining you, which was the case for me. And going back to an interesting point, Dimitri, is you said it also relates to my topic. You said that in business, speed is key, right? Well, with the old path, I was not very fast, or not as fast as I am now, and I couldn't also take on as much as I can now. And this also brings me to this point, which is sometimes you have to also see where are you faster and better, um, because that might be a better business idea or path for you to take. And especially if you're in a situation like me, where you're in uni and your time is limited, and the tasks you do require energy and focus, right? Well, you have to try and find something where you can be fast and take on people, a bit of people, like one or two or three clients, while still being able to manage your other responsibility, which I know for some of our listeners would be uni, and they can't do much about it because it's like they owe it to their parents. So for me, that's been very good because at least with voice, I can do more because I'm better at it naturally and faster too. That's one point.
I think most people start their business as a side hustle and they start doing the thing on the side while having a other occupation that is the main occupation. And so you always got to find a way to make sure you can still deliver what
Hmm.
um, what you do with your business in a very short amount of time. And yeah, at the end of the day, the business thing is you want to find a niche that is demanded and something that you can actually deliver on, and that's all it is on the baseline. Obviously, there's a lot more to it, but
Yeah.
at the end of the
Yeah.
day, if you start a business where there's no demand or people don't actually need it, that's a big thing in e-commerce when people try to start a drop shipping business or whatever, and then you see that they're trying to sell a product where I
Yeah.
think myself, does the world actually need this? And most of the time, the answer is no. So you got to find something that is actually needed and that you can deliver on, and then at the end of the day, that you can scale. But I mean,
Yeah.
scaling, I think that's later.
That's a good point. That's a good point because I didn't mention that, but the way I curiosity came to me with voiceover when s- so that client I have right now, he actually I started putting voiceover in my services, and then I had him reach out to me on Upwork. So that's when I was like, oh, that's strange. But I didn't take it too seriously until I started going on Upwork and I saw, oh wait, there's other people looking for that. And some are even saying, oh, my channel's not doing as well because I'm using AI stuff and people want something real. So it's like that's interesting. So at that point I was like, okay, let me try it. And then I liked it because I didn't even know at first if I would be good at it or like it. So I was like, let me give it a shot first and see. And as I gave it a shot and saw that more and more people were like, "Hey, bro, you actually have a good voice. You should do this." I was like, "Okay, green flag." There is a demand for it and there is people that believe I'm actually good at it, you know.
Yeah, Upwork is a very good example for this because it's more demand based because you actually see what people are asking for and then you can adapt
Yeah.
your services according to it. Where on Fiverr, because you post up your gig and then people have to reach out to you, it's a bit of a different game.
Yeah.
But some things I wrote down while you were talking about it is yes, it's a good thing to, if something's very draining, to hey, move away from it and choose something that you feel more towards doing it. But sometimes well, sometimes you'll always have, or sometimes you'll have times where you just don't feel like doing it. And sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
gotta push through it. Sometimes you gotta do it regardless if you feel like it or not. That's
Yeah.
gonna separate you from the people that move away as soon as they face
Yeah.
any kind of hurdle.
Yeah, to your point, to that point, I did copy for 4 years. So I didn't like Dimitri saying, I didn't like do it for 2 months and then be like, you know. No, I did it for 4 years, and then when it wasn't draining at first, just over time, sometimes God or the universe has this way of, okay, now it's time to move to something else. You've got it, you've gotten the basics of the skill. Maybe now it's time to move to something else, or maybe you can use that skill for something else later, you know?
Yeah, just so our
Um,
viewers understand that this
yeah.
is not like moving from one business to the other, because shiny object syndrome is very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
And if you move from one thing to another every single month, that's not going to bring you anywhere. But to another thing is with trying out new things. Look, we're all very young and we still have, um, touch wood, but we still have lots of times in front of us. And I don't want to sit here in 20 years and say, hey, what if I tried this or what if I've taken that um, that opportunity. What if I had done this? What if I had done that? I don't want to sit in 20 years and regret all of the things that I haven't done that I could have tried, that I could
Mm,
have lived, or the opportunity that I could have taken. So just do it. Just do it. Maybe you'll learn a lesson. Maybe you'll
yeah,
fall over and learn that this is nothing for you. And most importantly, you'll get wiser.
yeah, yeah. He's doing very spot on with that one.
Yeah, because I don't want to regret it. So this is with lots of things I try in my life, uh, working on a construction site, and I've learned so much there, so much, and I'm so grateful for it because this is all things that I'm sure I
Mm,
will be needing in the future. I don't exactly know why or when, but I'm sure it's going to be very helpful, and opportunities that I have taken, and I'm sure there will be more opportunities that come. But even if the things maybe don't make sense exactly financially in that specific moment, or you lose a bit of time, you want to make sure you get experiences and you know things. Because as I said it, I want to become a competent man. To be a competent man, need to be a wise man and someone that knows lots of things and is knowledgeable on lots of things. And you only achieve that by actually living the things and actually experiencing the things. And sometimes it's going to be bad experiences. Sometimes you'll have to learn it the hard way. But that's how it is. And at the end of the day, we got to be grateful. We're still in such a good situation, and there's lots of
yeah,
people who have it way worse than we have it.
yeah. Very true. Very true. Yeah. Did you have some more stuff
No,
in
that's all
points?
I've written down actually on that.
Okay. Well, in that case, maybe I could go on to the second part of this, which is there's two things, and they're both related to people. The first part is that sometimes, especially if you like to talk to people, you like networking, like me, um, you have to have periods where you lock in, as they say, and just focus a little bit more on you. And this also comes to the messaging part because there's one extreme which is where you don't answer the messages at all, and then there's the other extreme where you answer all the messages at the same time, right? And you should be working or something. And for me, I've often struggled with the answering people quickly. Like I always wanted to answer people quickly, everyone, and because I didn't want anyone to feel bad. But over time, or whenever someone wants to meet, let's do it, bro. Let's meet up, even though it's a little bit tight or tough for me. But when I cut out a bit of the noise, and just started being like, "Hey, bro, I can't right now. I'm busy. I can't right now. I'm tired. Whatever." Like the truth, and focusing a little bit more on me. I'm working right now on something important. I noticed that I got a lot of my time back and was able to focus a lot more on the work I did. And the funny thing is, many people who I often used to message, now they started messaging me first. It's very interesting how that works. Um, and then, so that's one part. Yes, it's good to network, it's good to talk to people, but also you have to know that sometimes you have to lock in, and networking is a tool that helps you when you've got the basis, to go further. But if you don't even have the basis, it's kind of tough to go and talk to people when you don't like have a skill or something you could do together. And then the second point is for me with people. My friends have helped me a lot with voiceover. To be honest, I got very lucky. Um, I had a friend who, which is why it's important to tell your brothers that when you've made a change or you need some help, because one of my friends has helped me a lot since he knows a lot about music and he bought a lot of mics and stuff. And he happened to teach me a lot of things that would have taken me longer to figure out on my own about mics, have me try some out, tools to use for editing. And he also helped me out with extra stuff I could get that are not too expensive, since he's pretty good at negotiations, that could help me have like a studio environment in my home. So that I'm very grateful for that friend, and that showed me the importance of, asking for help when you need it and having brothers, because he actually offered me my first mic, which has made a big difference, I can tell you already. And then related to that, I had another friend as well I met, um, who who proposed to me to come, because sometimes at my house it's loud, to come somewhere in his apartment area where you could sit there and it's not too loud, sorry, or even loud most of the time, and just record there as an alternative if I ever need it. So it also, yes, what I told you before is important, limit networking, but also there's a skill that you need to develop, I would say, which is know who are your um brothers, figure that out. And because some people you might just meet them once or twice, which happened to me, and they end up becoming a brother without you. You're like, what? So yeah.
True that, yeah. So a bunch of things I want to say to that, but regarding the brother things, it is so important, and I cannot stress it enough how important it is to have a good surrounding and good people around you that help you, even if it's just brothers to talk shit, even if it's just good friends to have a good time,
Yeah.
not to talk specifically about business or to get better with them or to have some people that are all in self-improvement. Sometimes it's just also good to have friends to have to have fun with, not to get drunk on parties or whatever, but just to have a good time. It doesn't have to to be degenerate, but that's very important. And
Yeah.
talking about the things that you're doing can help a lot. Um, to some extent, you don't want to talk too much on what you're doing because, or let me put it this way, sometimes when you tell things to certain people, and you gotta be careful because they might talk you off what you're trying to
Mm,
achieve. So you gotta be careful who you say what to. Like if I come to you and I say, look, I have the ambition to do this or that, or have the ambition to reach whatever goal, you're not gonna be the guy that's gonna be, ah, you can't do it, you cannot reach it. You're not the guy for that. So I know that if I come to you with something like that, you're not gonna be the guy that's gonna respond like that.
yeah.
But there's people that if I would go to them and tell them maybe a bigger goal, they would talk me off it and say, yeah, you cannot reach it, that's dumb. Are you trying to reach that? Some people are more ambitious, some people are less ambitious. So be careful who you say what to.
Yeah.
But most importantly, if you don't talk about the things you're doing, you're not going to realize as fast when you're doing something wrong. And sometimes we're doing things and we don't realize ourselves that it could be way easier, or you could do it differently, or there's another approach you could take. So the more you talk about those things with your surrounding, the more other people are gonna help you with it, right? So sometimes you don't realize that you're completely running against the wall, and
Hmm.
two people often have more brain power than one person. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean the thing for asking help, that's so important. Sometimes to just ask for help, most people are gonna say yes. Like you know it yourself probably how it is. I know it
Hmm.
myself how it is. it's more difficult to say no than to say yes when somebody asks you for a favor. So ask people for favors. Maybe they'll say yes. And even if they say
Yeah.
no, I mean, you've tried it. And
Yes.
you talked about what was it? I wrote down be the quiet guy because sometimes saying less
Mm.
is saying more. When yeah, it was about the messaging part. Now I got it back because you said if you stop messaging as much and being outbound as much, people start coming to you, and so it's the same thing. Sometimes in a group of people, it's better to say less. And when you say something, it's something that is actually intelligent or
Mm-hmm.
something that actually makes sense rather than always trying to chime in and always trying to say something and always trying to add up something to that specific thing that the guy is saying. Sometimes just be the quiet guy and listen to what people are saying and listen to how they're saying it, and then have a thought and then say something when you feel like it's actually necessary and intelligent. And sometimes that makes you feel or makes you seem more confident.
Yeah, what I meant also with that is don't always be the guy who I was always the guy who would be like messaging people who haven't messaged me in a while. How are you doing? How's it going? And sometimes it'd be too much because they still don't answer, like it'd be too much in the sense, okay, they're not answering you, it's clear. Um, Sometimes when you just step back or don't, you're not as available, not like playing mind games, it's just you actually start focusing on you for real, and now you make time for what really matters to you and those who matter most to you. I've noticed that the people who often you would go around chasing, now they're the ones who come back and message you. Just an interesting, um, an interesting thing, but I guess it makes sense, right? Because what's available is less demanded than what's scarce, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
scarcity sells.
Yeah.
It's as it is. That's why mm, people that try to sell products online sometimes they just have this countdown or this, hey, it's only one left in stock, or you can only get this till this and that date, and that
Yeah.
works because
Yeah.
scarcity sells.
It kills me when it's like a digital product.
Yeah, but they all do it. The coaches all do it. It's limited access, only 100 people can
Yeah.
get in, all of those things, right? But it works. It works.
Yeah. On your end, was there um something else you wanted to touch on or maybe ask me or add in?
Actually, not. No, I've yeah, I've responded to all of the things. But yeah, I mean, great tips you shared.
Mm,
This,
thank
I think it's gonna be valuable to at least someone out there, and I hope it is because that's our goal here with this podcast. Even if it helps only one person, even if only one person sees it, and even if nobody sees it, we had a
you.
full conversation that we would have had anyways, and that we now recorded and put it out there to maybe be valuable to other people. But yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
do
No,
you
it
have
was
something
great.
else, or do you want to get to the things we're grateful for?
Uh, no, for me, honestly, the only final thing I would add is whatever path you take, um, always keep learning. Always take time to just watch and learn. Um, because sometimes you can just get caught in the action, 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 but you have to also iterate your action and improve it, because otherwise you just stay the same. So yeah,
Yeah, that's very important.
yeah,
Always make sure to keep learning, to keep getting better, even if it's 0.5% every single day. That's still gonna be over 150% um, at the end of the year. So
yeah.
make sure to do that, and you'll you'll never have stopped learning. Uh,
Yeah,
you never know
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Make sure
And
to.
if you subscribe to this channel and watch each of our episode, that will all add up to your learning, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Subscribe and like this video, and especially comment what's the last thing you've learned and that has been valuable to you, to your business, your private life,
Yeah.
or whatever in life. Good.
Yeah, and if you have any questions also for us, you could leave it down below. We'll try to answer and give you our thoughts. Um, so let's do the gratitude, the things we're grateful for, or did you want to add something?
No, that was all. I can
Okay.
just start with the things I'm grateful for. So, first of all, very grateful for all of my surroundings. Might that be
Yeah,
you or my
thank you.
girlfriend, for example, that has been very, very supportive, and yeah, it's been great to have such a strong surrounding and good people around. The next thing is the country, man. Switzerland is wonderful, even though the weather is getting colder and it's not as beautiful and snowy as it could be, but it's still a wonderful country, and yeah, I need to remember that every single day that people have it a lot worse, and it almost
Yeah,
couldn't be better. The, the starting point is so high up, and it's so great to live in this wonderful country. And last, I'm so grateful to have a business where I can work from everywhere, and so grateful that I'm able to do this at already such a young age, because this is not something that we should take for granted.
of course. Of course. No, that's a good list. For me, I'm very grateful for my surroundings and support systems too, whether it's friends like you or my parents who, you know, regardless have started this because everything we end up doing was thanks to them taking care of us and giving us the initial first funding, you know. So I'm grateful for that. I'm also grateful for having a good voice and skills like this because I mean, not everyone can do that, and that's a gift that I've had, so I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the fact that, well, you know, as you said, we are in Switzerland. It's a beautiful country, it's a safe country, and it's been nice to me. And overall, so I'm grateful for that country. So, yeah,
Great.
yeah.
These are great closing off words. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe,
And
and
subscribe.
tell us what you're grateful for down below in the comments. Don't forget that. And otherwise, I
Yeah,
wish you all a wonderful day, night, morning,
yeah.
evening, wherever you are in the world.
Thank you for coming to the D&Y podcast, and we'll see you next month.